Pablo Escobar, the name still echoes with a chilling familiarity, even decades after his death. Born in rural Colombia, he rose from humble beginnings to become one of the most ruthless and powerful criminals the world has ever seen. Escobar's story is not just about drugs, however. It's a complex tapestry woven with threads of ambition, violence, corruption, and a perverse sense of Robin Hood-like populism. He was a man of stark contradictions, capable of immense cruelty and surprising generosity, often in the same breath. To understand the man, we must delve into the world he created, a world where fear was currency and loyalty was bought and paid for with blood. Escobar's story is a cautionary tale, a reminder of the seductive allure of power and the corrosive effects of unchecked greed. Escobar's empire was built on a foundation of cocaine, a trade that brought unimaginable wealth but also unleashed a wave of violence and corruption that engulfed Colombia. His journey into the drug trade began modestly, smuggling small quantities of marijuana and stolen goods. However, he quickly recognized the lucrative potential of cocaine, a drug then gaining popularity in the United States. With a keen business acumen and a ruthless streak, Escobar scaled his operations, transforming himself from a petty criminal into a cocaine kingpin. He established sophisticated smuggling routes, using planes, boats, and even submarines to transport his illicit cargo. His wealth grew exponentially, and with it, his power and influence. Yet Escobar was a master of cultivating a public image that belied his criminal enterprise. This carefully crafted persona served as a smokescreen, shielding him from the scrutiny of authorities and fostering a climate of fear and silence that allowed his empire to thrive. Escobar's rise to power was inextricably linked to the social and political landscape of Colombia in the 1970s and 1980s. Colombia, plagued by poverty, inequality, and a weak state presence in many regions, provided fertile ground for the growth of criminal organizations. Escobar, a product of this turbulent environment, understood how to exploit these vulnerabilities to his advantage. He recognized the power of fear and used it ruthlessly, silencing his opponents with threats, kidnappings, and assassinations. Judges, politicians, journalists, anyone who dared to challenge his authority or expose his empire became a target. The Colombian justice system, weakened by corruption and intimidation, proved largely ineffective in stemming the tide of violence unleashed by Escobar and his cartel. Moreover, Escobar shrewdly exploited the pervasive poverty and lack of opportunity in Medellin, recruiting young men from the slums into his ranks. He offered them a way out of poverty, a chance to amass wealth and power that seemed unattainable through legitimate means. His rise was not solely a product of brute force and intimidation, however. He understood the importance of cultivating relationships with corrupt officials, police officers, and politicians, greasing the wheels of his empire with bribes and favors. Escobar's criminal activities extended far beyond drug trafficking. He recognized early on that to truly control his empire, he needed to exert influence over all aspects of society. One of his most insidious and pervasive operations was the plata o plomo system, a chilling ultimatum that left many Colombians with an impossible choice: silver or lead. Plata o plomo. Accept a bribe and turn a blind eye to his operations, or face the deadly consequences. This brutal system extended its tentacles into all levels of Colombian society, ensnaring police officers, judges, politicians, and even journalists. Those who dared to resist often faced swift and brutal retribution, their deaths serving as a stark warning to others. This systematic extortion allowed Escobar to operate with near impunity. He could silence witnesses, protect his associates, and ensure that law enforcement turned a blind eye to his activities. The plata o plomo system became a terrifying symbol of Escobar's power and the pervasive corruption that gripped Colombia during his reign. At the heart of Escobar's empire was the Medellin cartel, a ruthless criminal organization that controlled a vast network of cocaine production and distribution. Named after Escobar's hometown, the cartel operated with ruthless efficiency, transforming the sleepy city of Medellin into the epicenter of the global cocaine trade. Its operations were highly organized, resembling a multinational corporation more than a criminal enterprise. Escobar surrounded himself with trusted lieutenants, each responsible for a specific aspect of the business, from production and transportation to security and enforcement. This hierarchical structure allowed the cartel to function with ruthless efficiency, maximizing profits while minimizing risks. Central to the cartel's success was its control over every stage of the cocaine supply chain. They controlled the coca fields in the jungles of Colombia, the processing labs where the raw coca leaves were transformed into cocaine, and the intricate smuggling routes that delivered their product to eager markets in the United States and beyond. The cartel's grip on Medellin was absolute, infiltrating businesses, corrupting officials, and terrorizing the population into submission. Escobar's ambition knew no bounds. His empire, fueled by the insatiable demand for cocaine in the United States, spread its tentacles across the globe, establishing a sophisticated network of production, transportation, and distribution. From the jungles of Colombia to the streets of Miami, Escobar's cocaine flooded the market, leaving a trail of addiction, violence, and social decay in its wake. Escobar's logistical ingenuity was remarkable. He exploited every conceivable route to smuggle his product into the United States, from small planes landing on clandestine airstrips in the Florida Everglades to speedboats racing across the Caribbean Sea. He even experimented with submarines, a testament to his ambition and willingness to push the boundaries of innovation in the pursuit of profit. His empire was built on a foundation of violence and corruption. He bribed officials, threatened politicians, and unleashed his sicarios, his army of assassins, on anyone who dared to stand in his way. Escobar's reign of terror left an indelible mark on Colombia, claiming the lives of thousands of innocent people. Judges, journalists, politicians, police officers, and ordinary citizens caught in the crossfire became casualties in his ruthless pursuit of power and wealth. Their stories serve as a chilling reminder of the human cost of Escobar's empire. One of the most tragic chapters in Escobar's reign was the bombing of Avianca Flight 203 in 1989. In a horrific act of terrorism aimed at assassinating a presidential candidate, Escobar's men planted a bomb aboard the flight, killing all 107 people on board, including 3 Americans. This act of barbarism shocked the world, shattering any illusion that Escobar's violence was contained within Colombia's borders. The families of Escobar's victims still bear the scars of his brutality. Their lives were irrevocably altered, forever haunted by the loss of loved ones. Many were forced to flee their homes, seeking refuge from the violence that had engulfed their country. Their stories stand as a testament to the enduring legacy of trauma and grief left behind by Escobar's reign. By the late 1980s, the walls began to close in on Pablo Escobar. The Colombian government, under intense pressure from the United States, launched an all-out offensive against the Medellin cartel. A special police unit, trained and funded by the U.S., was created with the sole purpose of bringing Escobar to justice. The manhunt for Escobar became an obsession for both Colombian and U.S. authorities. His vast wealth and network of informants made him an elusive target, but the noose was tightening. The violence escalated, with Escobar unleashing a wave of bombings and assassinations in a desperate attempt to maintain his grip on power. Despite the escalating pressure, Escobar remained defiant, convinced that he could outmaneuver his pursuers. However, the net was closing in, and Escobar's days of absolute power were numbered. Pablo Escobar's life and death continue to fascinate and horrify the world. He was a complex and contradictory figure, a ruthless criminal who orchestrated the deaths of thousands, yet also a man who cultivated an image as a Robin Hood figure, building houses for the poor and investing in social programs in the communities he terrorized. His legacy is a complicated one. On the one hand, he is remembered as a symbol of terror, his name synonymous with the brutal violence and corruption that gripped Colombia during his reign. The scars of his empire are still visible today, a stark reminder of the devastating consequences of the drug trade. On the other hand, Escobar remains a folk hero to some, particularly in the impoverished neighborhoods of Medellin, where he invested in social programs and provided jobs. The story of Pablo Escobar, though rooted in a specific time and place, offers enduring lessons that remain relevant in the 21st century. His rise and fall provide a stark illustration of the dangers of unchecked greed, the corrosive effects of corruption, and the challenges of combating transnational criminal organizations. Escobar's empire was built on a foundation of violence and intimidation. He understood the power of fear and used it ruthlessly to silence his opponents, control the population, and protect his interests. His story serves as a reminder that unchecked power, particularly when combined with vast wealth and a disregard for human life, poses a grave threat to any society. Moreover, Escobar's success was inextricably linked to the pervasive corruption that plagued Colombia. He bribed officials, infiltrated institutions, and exploited weaknesses in the justice system to operate with near impunity. His empire highlights the corrosive effects of corruption, demonstrating how it undermines the rule of law, erodes public trust, and creates an environment where criminal organizations can thrive.